Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to Dad's Kitchen. I'm Chef TJ, and we're going to go over how to make Spanish-style pork chops. Okay, so we've got about 8 pork chops here. They're medium cut. I cut them from pork loin, so they're pork loin, boneless chops. You can do this with pork steaks. You can do it with bone-in pork chops, whatever floats your boat. We've got about 3/4 of a tablespoon of garlic powder. You could use minced garlic or fresh garlic. The ratio will be a little bit different if you use those. I got chili powder. I got about 3 tablespoons of smoked paprika, Spanish paprika. 3/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. I got a little bit of salt and pepper, and I got about 3/4 of a teaspoon of sugar. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to take our pork chops and we're going to have them in a nice airtight Ziploc bag. We're going to take and we're going to dump all these ingredients into that bag. Just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to close this bag all up. I didn't get it all. Close it up and we're going to shake it up real good. Make sure it's real good tight. We're going to move it around. Make sure all those chops are completely covered. Just like so. And then we're going to take that bag, put it back in our bowl that we've got it sitting in, because we don't want to, or sit it on a plate. You don't want it to go directly in the refrigerator like that. We're going to take it, we're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it refrigerate for about an hour. Alright, while that's marinating, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on making some Pico de Gallo. So we're going to take a small break for a second. Like I said, subscribe, guys. You got to want to know what we're doing here. And then we'll come right back and we'll make that Pico to go along with our pork chops. Alright, guys, welcome back. While we're waiting for our pork chops to finish up in the refrigerator, getting that marinade in there, we're going to make our Pico de Gallo. So what we got here is we've got about 4 Roma tomatoes that have been diced up. We got about 2 fresh jalapenos. You want to get the long ones, the fresh ones you can possibly get. I got 1 red onion that I've medium diced. And then I've got fresh lemon juice. And then I got about a 1/2 cup of fresh cilantro. Now, if you've never seen cilantro looks like this. Some people say it tastes like soap. Okay. I unfortunately am one of those people that if I eat it raw, it tastes like soap. It's like 6% of people actually get that taste. What other people taste, I don't know. But if you chop it up and you add it in with food, it actually tastes really good. But by itself, I can't do it by itself. It makes me make it a nice bitter face. So make sure we wash all of our produce. So now we're going to take our tomatoes. We're going to literally just mix everything up. We're going to add our onions. We're going to add our cilantro. We're going to add our jalapenos. A little bit of spice. We're going to add our lemon juice. If I can get the lid off. Lemon juice. Like that. And then I'm going to actually slip over here for a second and grab the salt and pepper and add some of that in there too. Now you don't want to add too much because you don't want to take away from the flavor. So we're going to do a few shakes there, a few shakes there. And then we're going to grab our spoon. We're going to mix it all up. Just so you can see what it looks like. Mixing it up. Almost there. I'm surprised I'm not making a mess. Usually I'm dumping this stuff all over the floor. Oh, there we go. I knew it was going to happen. And that's your pico. Tastes delicious. And that will go with our pork chops. Now we're going to serve our pork chops with sauteed asparagus and some brown rice. So we'll be right back. I'm going to get the pork chops out, get them going, and hopefully they've marinated long enough, and then we'll get, you know, the asparagus going. Alright guys, welcome back. Our pork is marinated. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get it into our saute pan. Now remember, we've gone over this a bunch of times already. How do we know whenever our grease is hot? It gets real shimmery, and when you move the pan, it moves very quickly, very fluently. Okay, so I've only got this on about medium heat because I don't want it to, you know, char, but I do want to get that nice sear. So when you pull your pork chops out, they're going to have a nice coating on them. Completely coated, they've marinated a little bit, and we're going to place those right in our pan. Now, people have been stuck with the thought of pork chops have to be well done. And that comes from the food industry and the health standards that were set upon pork for the longest time. Well, depending on your grade of pork that you get, our food standards have gotten a lot higher and a lot more substantial in the United States. So they actually have permitted pork to be cooked to the temperature of medium and mid-rare. Still don't want to eat it raw, but medium and mid-rare, just like your steaks, you know, you can get nice flavor out of that. Me personally, can't do it. I was like, I gotta have mine, you know, well done, because it just, I can't do the rawness of the pork yet. Love my steaks mid-rare. I'm like, that's the best way you need to cook your steak. If you're cooking it any more than that, then you're overdoing it and you're pulling the flavor out of it. But to each their own. Everybody has their own preference. So now I'm going to let those sit. I'm going to crank the heat up a little bit, medium high, and I'm just going to let those cook for probably about 7 or 8 minutes, and then I'll flip them over and hit them with another, you know, 5 or 6, and then we'll temp them out and see where we're at. Alright, be right back. Alright guys, well, we got our pork chops over here cooking. They're about 3/4 of the way done. I flipped them over. We're going to go ahead and get our asparagus in the pan. So we're going to get the pan heating up. There we go. I need a new oven. Now, what you're always checking for is the bottom part of the asparagus tends to be a little rough. It's going to be a little woody. It's not very pleasant to eat. So you want to bend your asparagus until it snaps. Right, that's the part where it snaps is where it gets tender. So that's the part we're going to keep. The rest of it we'll throw away. Now I've went ahead and washed and did all of our asparagus. So now that the pan's heating up, I'm going to take about 3 tablespoons of butter. Throw that in the pan. And I'll let that start to melt. Once that starts to melt, then we'll add in our asparagus. I've also got a little bit of chicken base here, chicken stock, so that'll add a little bit of flavor to it when we go to steam it at the end. You don't want to let your asparagus cook too long because then it'll turn to mush. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to saute it long enough to where it goes from being like this light green color to being like a dark green color, and then it'll be, you know, a little bit more bendy. But then once that's done, it's done. You can take it off the heat. It's ready to go. It's only going to take about 5 or 6 minutes. So we've got our butter starting to melt in our pan. I've got it on medium high. It's okay if the butter browns a little bit, and it just adds a little bit of flavor into your asparagus, which isn't that bad. I don't know if you've ever had brown butter, but it goes absolutely fantastic with fish or seafood in general, so shrimp. So go ahead along with that. If you'd like to know how to make it, like, comment, subscribe, you know, put it in the comments, and I'll definitely show you how to make it. Take our asparagus and add that in there. You'll hear it sizzle as soon as it hits the pan. Move it around a little bit because you want it to get nicely evenly on the pan. what did I do with my, here it is. Get a little salt and pepper. Now you can season your asparagus any way you want. Some people add garlic into it. Some people add, Italian blend seasonings into it, oregano. Get your basil in there. Some people will use thyme. You can do a lot with the flavor of asparagus. I like to keep it simple. I like the flavor of asparagus, so I just hit it with some salt and pepper. And like I said, I'm going to use chicken stock. I'm going to throw it in there, and that's going to really, steam it at the last minute, and it's going to really bring out those flavors. Our pork chops should be getting close to being done. So we can get the thermometer out. If you don't have one of these, make sure you get one. Temping your steaks by hand, straight. It's always a good way to double check. You can check it with your hand and then check it with your thermometer. So medium is going to be 145 degrees. We're setting at about mid-well at 155. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this off, turn the heat off. And we're going to call it a day. Our asparagus is starting to cook. I'm going to now add a little bit of chicken base into it, not a lot, just a little bit. And then I don't have a lid that fits my pan that high. So I'm going to take another pan that's bigger and I'm going to dome it. It's a kitchen technique. You'll see that a lot in restaurants where we run out of lids. Saute pan on top of another saute pan. You'll see that quite frequently. We'll let that cook for a few minutes and we'll be right back. Again, guys, if you want to talk, you have something you want to learn, or you have a recipe you want to share with me, like, comment, subscribe. It's the only way to get through to me. I love hearing the different things, different ideas people have. So definitely share that, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, our asparagus is done, so I'm going to turn it off and show you what it looks like. It's nice and green. It's got that flimsiness. So good. Now, let me put this up for you so you can see what it looks like. Take a little bit of rice. Place that close to the center of the plate. Okay. We're going to grab ourselves a couple hunks of this asparagus. We're going to lay that across the rice. About 5 or 6 pieces. Okay. We'll grab ourselves a pork chop. And another one. Alright, and then I got some Salsa Verde right here. It's going to add a little bit of texture to it. So we're going to do the Salsa Verde and the Pico de Gallo that we got. So take this Pico, just take couple scoops, place it right on top, just like so. I'm going to take the Salsa Verde, just do a nice drizzle. Now tilt the camera down so you can see. Voila! You got yourself a nice dinner. You got your rice, your pork chops, and your asparagus. Again, guys, we're doing great things over here. So if you want to learn something else, you want to taste something else, you got different flavors you want to try, you got something you have questions about that you've heard that somebody else was like, oh, this is really great, and you haven't had a chance to try it yet. Let's get a conversation going. Like, comment, subscribe. Get back to me. I'll see you next time.